It's time for another Dice Tower review with the Chief, Bart Brunsheen.
Hi, this is the Chief from the Dice Tower. Today we're going to talk about another Game Crafter game. This one is called Of Power and Glory. A very good game by Alan Lamb. It's got a little subtitle, The Altero Series, Game Number 1. I have no idea what that means, but I can tell you Of Power and Glory is a very interesting game in terms of kind of the different way it twists things. And its production values are unbelievable. For the Game Crafter, I was very impressed. Let me show you real quick. First of all, mounted board. I mean, it's nothing super special in terms of the board, but just being mounted for the Game Crafter is great. And then the artwork on here and the gloss finish, very impressed. When I got this, I was surprised. The Game Crafter, in my opinion, is just getting better and better at producing games, and I have no games that I'm designing or, well, I've always thought about some designing, but there's no way I'm even close to designing something. But if I did, the Game Crafter is awesome. I can't imagine a better way to get a prototype or a finished game. I mean, this feels like a finished game. The cards came out great. You'll see those closer. And these little circle hula hoop little things that fit over the pawns, just thematically it looks pretty. So, but let's go in and actually take a closer look at what they look like. All right, walking you through the board here, some of the components of Power and Glory. Up top, we have the battlegrounds. Let me show you real quick. It'll be the name of the territory, and then it'll be the highlight area actually on the map. And I love this. It allows you to find it on the map very easily. Very well done, very clean. I've abbreviated setup a little bit. There will be 8 actual kings on here, and they're all represented by these little title rings that they have, and they'll all be out on the map. They're randomly set up. You draw the cards, place them out, and then reshuffle your cards. So I've only got 4 out here just to kind of show you gameplay. Normally it'd be a little bit more stuff going on here. Same deal over here. You would have sets of king's cards. 2 of these, when you go to actually play, 2 out of the set will be removed secretly. And these things actually have things that will cause you to want to push a king a certain way, like to control the most territories, or more territories, or the most power, or to have more power. And it's a way to make sure that the players at the table are actually doing certain things that the kings, who are not really represented, that you're doing things that they would want you to do. One of the most important areas, zoom in just a bit, this is your power track. As you move down the power track, and I'll show you how to get power earlier, when you hit these little starred areas, you will actually pick up nobles. You'll start with 2 nobles, but as you can see, you can pick up a total of 5, and the nobles work very much in the realm of worker placement. And again, we'll look at that in a little bit. This is how you actually win the glory. The glory track's real nice. As you pick up glory, the first person to enter a zone will actually come down closer to the inner circle. And as other individuals reach that zone, if the game were to end right now, the person that's on the inner circle actually would win. It'll beat any ties. So you want to make sure you're the first into a new area, because it actually has some importance. And how you ultimately can win the game is by coming all the way around and getting to the star. If you get to this gold star, you've automatically won. There's another way you can win, which is a truce card that will be in the bottom of the deck that's drawn. And when that comes out, just whoever's further ahead on the glory track will win. Keeps the games from running way too long and keeps the game in the realm of what it should be. Your turn order track, very simple turn order track. Obviously, in part of your worker placement, you'll be able to influence that. This is the king's power. And again, I've only got 4 kings on there. Normally, this would be filled up with all 8 of them. And it's very simplified, but the king with the most power, if there's ever a fight over in here, will win, with a few caveats. Depends on if they've won another battle on that turn phase or not. Do they have a title that they can even come and put in the area? They've got to have one available in order to conquer a territory. If they can't place one of these down in the area, basically giving a title to the governor of that region, then they will not be able to conquer it. Again, there's much more detail on that in gameplay, but that's the general gist. Now we'll go down and look at where all the worker placement actually happens. Again, I've only set up the 2 areas here, or the 4 areas. And we're going to focus, just for explanation's sake, on the red area. The turn would simply go where you begin, every player gets their 2 pawns, and they can do 2 things. They can either come into the court and influence, or hope to influence in the future, or they can actually come up to the battleground areas, represented by the cards. The first 3 are going to be your battleground areas. And if you wanted to, you could actually place your noble on a battleground and move that battleground to the back of the line. Basically, it won't be fought over this turn. That allows you to manipulate where the fights are going to be. So right off the bat, the only thing you can do with your nobles are place them up here, and you'll leave them on here. They can only be influenced once, so you can't have multiple nobles moving cards around indefinitely. Or you're placing them down into this game order track. Let me set this up to show just that if it had gone like so. You're only going to be placing your nobles into these zones if you know there's going to be a battle that's coming up, or you're hopeful that there'll be a battle that's coming up. And you've got enough that you'll be influencing multiple kings, and you may even have a noble sitting in an area where a fight doesn't happen, but he'll be there eventually when a fight does occur. If this was the way the game were set up, and let's say the Red King had actually won a battle, you simply resolve in turn order what type of special thing you want. If I go up here, I will end up getting a up 1 on the circle that gives me power. In other words, I might be able to eventually get one of those silver stars and pick up an extra noble. If I'd gone down to this one down here, I would pick up an extra, get to move up on the glory track, which is how you're eventually going to win the game. And this is where a lot of the tug-of-war goes. You want to get a lot of power so you have more nobles, but if you ignore the glory, sometimes it's real hard to catch back up. And so you want to you're kind of chasing your tail all the time. Real simple over here. You're just going to move up on the turn order track. This one takes a little bit more to explain. You're going to get a title from the king in the area that you represented. And let's pretend that blue had gone to this area. As long as there's one of these little circles available, it's a title, he'll get to put it on. All right, just sits right over his pawn, and that'll stay in position for the rest of the game. There's one way it can be taken from you, but I won't go into that right now. What this allows you to do is in future turns, let's say I was going to be the last to lay down into the 3 spot, but I have some prior influence with this king. I have a title from him. This allows me to come in, and as long as nobody has more titles than I do, I can actually come all the way up to the front and bump these guys back, moving me up in the selection of the favor that I'm going to want from the king. Love this aspect of it. I may have even a couple titles from him. You don't want to get too many because, like I said, you can end up losing them if these run out and there's battles that get resolved. But that is a very, very nice aspect of this game. I've been to this king's court on a prior occasion. I've backed him up. I've received a title. And now if I choose to come back into his court, I'm going to get some favor. And I'll be able to bump these other guys out who are trying to get his favor too right before a battle happens. If you come into this espionage, this little eyeball is an espionage area, that will actually hurt this king's arch enemy. The arch enemies are set up opposite of each other. So red hates green. And this would actually, if I was in this spot, move the green king down 1 on his power rating, which is up over here. So if I'd done this, I would actually move him down one, hurting his overall power. The other thing it allows me to do is everybody else after this turn will move their pieces off, and once they've all taken their actions, they'll all be removed, but I'll get to slide right back down and secure a spot right on the number 1 spot, and I don't have to replace him. He's already in the king's court. There's an area that's slightly obscured here. When players first place in, instead of this box, they have the option of placing into a little sabotage box up here. And if they do that, they won't obviously get any influence, but they do get to bring the king's power marker down immediately, which is pretty tricky because a battle that he was sure to win, just based on his influence in this area over here, he may now lose. And it's very, very Machiavellian when it comes to that. So one of the very neat aspects that's going on. Let me explain a battle real quick, because I've been explaining that if the king were to win, what would happen. Let's say there was going to be a battle in Madrid. So you can see real quickly that that's going to be right here. All the kings that will be involved in this battle must either have one of their titles on the target or be adjacent to it. So you can see in this case, all 3 of these kings, red, green, and white, are adjacent to Madrid. They're going to be in the battle. And all you have to do is the kings have a title that they can even put on there in order to win it, and then 2, where are they at on the power tracker? And it goes to whoever's got the most power. So in this case, red would have won this battle. They do have a title available to place in Madrid. They're number 1 on the power rating area, and they would have won that battle, and that would have caused us to then go down and resolve what had gone on in the king's court, gaining everybody their individual influence or their glory or their power, or moving them up on their turn order track. Hopefully, I've explained that fairly succinctly and was not too convoluted. You can see how the worker placement fact comes in, and how you're looking at the battles that are going to come up and where the kings are at in terms of their power and in terms of winning the battle. Oftentimes it won't be a contested area. It may be Galicia, and if that battle comes up, and let's say black was over here, there's no one adjacent to it, red king's going to win that by default. There's no one else that can even fight him for it. So that would be a place where everybody would start loading in their nobles, because they know he's going to take this territory by default. The area of Madrid, as you saw, everything's actually in doubt. Somebody could move the red guy's power down. All kinds of things can happen. All right, you're back. The hardest thing about this game is explaining it in a concise way. I'm telling you. On that note, the rules, Game Crafter, it's just pieces of paper. I would like to have a better rule book. The artwork on here is pretty good. Explanations, a little bit rough. The rules could be cleaned up just a little bit. I actually, after playing the game, found it much simpler than when I read the rules and was trying to figure out how it was going to go. Hopefully, I've done a decent job in explaining it to you, because there's a lot to this game that I like. As I said when I was kind of in there doing the actual hands-on look, the act of being the nobles that are influencing all the kings behind the scenes is really cool. And I think thematically it's very correct. I mean, the kings have all the power, but they don't really wield that power in and of themselves. There's all the other influential fellows behind the scenes that in this case are setting where the fights are going to be, are setting who's got the most power, what court do you want to go into and receive a title from the king, what kind of rewards will you get from that. Love that aspect of it. This game does it very well. I believe the theme is strong here, and the take is just new. I could see this getting officially picked up and published by a larger company easily. I must admit, I have to get more plays of this in. I understand the mechanics. Once you play, the mechanics aren't difficult at all. However, there's a depth of strategy here that I haven't even begun to touch. And to really get there, I think you'd have to have players familiar with the system, and then to really start pulling strings and moving different ways and resetting battles and getting the influence of the titles and how much power do you need versus when you go for the glory. I'm not even close to feeling like I've reached the depths of this, and I plan on playing it much more. Very fun game. Those are the reasons I like it. If you haven't tried anything from the Game Crafter, go give this a look. And I will be at BGG Con, and I plan on bringing this. I know that's way down the road, but I'll be playing this there just because I think it'll be interesting to show it off to maybe some people that haven't seen it. So that's it. It's Chief from the Dice Tower. See you guys.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find the latest board game news at Dicetowernews.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Fun Again Games, the world's best game source. Fun Again Games has over 5,000 games available. Check them out at funagain.com.